Can you see my deck?
Yes.
Perfect. So today's agenda will be like this. First, our Sadhwani sir is going to talk about Indian regulations and what are the changes, why there was an importance, to change from MDD to MDR, why we have adopted this European MDR, and India is, really they have drafted these guidelines very nicely, and our Sadhwani sir was one of the member, he was deeply involved while drafting these rules, the MDR 2017 rules. So he is going to talk about our Indian rules and regulations. Then our Ram Banarase, he was also one of the regulator, and he is also retired 5-6 years back. He's also one of our partner. He's going to talk about the key changes in the MDD to MDR. Then the session will be taken over by our next speaker, that is Abdul Rahman, and who will walk through full Europe, full European system, and you would love all of this session. That's for today's session. Let me speak about our speaker. You know about me. I have already told about Raaj GPRAC Private Limited was formed in 2009, and we have completed successful 11 years, and I'm having 29 plus years of experience. I'm a pharmacist, proud pharmacist, and I work for Sandoz, Novartis, Glenmark, TCS, Cognizant, Femicare, and so many companies in different areas, right from R&D to regulatory affairs, quality assurance, and then I am a certified lead auditor 13485-2016. Like me, our Sadhwani sir and Ram Banarase, Neha, those are also a lead auditor. Then about me, I have passion to train and passion to learn also. I want to learn and learn. And that's why, I keep on attending more and more sessions, though it's conducted by, other organization. I keep learning, I keep grooming myself so that, I can share my knowledge with all you guys. And I have published more than 25 articles in national and international journals. I'm a guest faculty to various universities like ICT, NIPER, JSS, and so on. Then about Sadhwani sir, he is having 30 plus years of experience. He was also awarded as a Gaurav Puraskar from the government of Maharashtra, and he is the drug controller of Maharashtra. Then I'm going to share this profile with you. Just not taking much time. I will brief about 2 to 3 lines about each of my trainer over here. Sadhwani sir is going to speak about Indian regulation, as I mentioned earlier. Then Ram Banarase, he is also very senior person. He is also one of the regulator. He's having 35 years of experience. The beauty of we three of us are pharmacists, and we have uh, many of this, like I have though 29 plus years of experience, those are having rich experience of more than 35 years, so they are here to share their knowledge. Then coming to Sneha is also young, I would say she is a champion in medical device, though she is having 6 years of experience, so she is going to talk about MDR, and plus she is walking through the Sugam regulatory submission portal, and though she is having US and CE marking hands-on experience, she has very good expertise in handling India and the BI submission. Then coming to our Abdul, who is the champion of the day, and he will be, talking about, you will be meeting him. He's a very nice speaker, having very good hands-on experience, more than 5 years, and currently is working in Capgemini, and he is from the engineering background, and he has expertise into design control, risk management, and then he has helped more than 20 organizations for this MDR implementation. Then we have next speaker is Mrs. Gayatri, who is also having 12 plus years of experience in medical device sector and handling all kinds of 510K, US FDA. You asked any question, she has a thorough knowledge about US FDA. So welcome all of my trainers and all of my participants, and let us join this program. And as I said, keep yourself on mute, and let us start with the first session with our Sadhwani sir. Thank you once again. So, sir, can you now share your screen, please? So again, once again, one announcement I have to make. If you have any kind of question, you can chat with me on WhatsApp also, personal question, or you can write your question in the chat box. Yeah, Sadhvani sir, it's over to you now.
Good evening, everyone, and it's pleasure to be with all of you. And thank you, Rajashri, for very good introduction. I would like to add some uh, preliminary thinking that how and why medical devices regulation has developed in India. If you talk of Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940 and Rules 1945, there were a few devices regulated, which included bandages, sutures, and then maybe intrauterine copper devices for contraception, then condoms. Further, the notified devices were like disposable syringes, needles, blood sets, blood transfusion sets, etc. Up to 2005, these were the only devices regulated in India. Right. And then there were issues that definition in Drug and Cosmetic Act said that any device which is notified by Government of India will be regulated. But no notifications other than these devices were there. And then really anybody could import anything from anywhere in the world and market in India. While it was being done in while it was being done, I was assistant commissioner at intelligence branch of FDA, Maharashtra. We found out that there is one device coming from Holland, Netherlands, that is Axion drug-eluting stent, that was paclitaxel eluting stent, which was not having any CE mark, which was not approved for sale in Europe, but was being used in JJ Hospital of India, Bombay, and then particularly it was being marketed at a very large scale. And at that time we understood.
Can you mute yourself, please?
So we took a view that though device is not regulated, though device is not notified, but that device was actually paclitaxel eluting device. So it was for stopping, preventing restenosis in the artery, in the vein. Right. So we took a stand which was not absolutely correct, but there was one issue in that paclitaxel is a drug and it is being eluted from the device, and then therefore it is a new drug and therefore there is some permission is to be required. And we passed an order that any device which is being marketed in India has to come from a country where it is at least approved in that country. We passed that order for the Maharashtra, and then it was challenged in the High Court. And High Court took a very strong view that why devices are not regulated in India. And then practically High Court directed Government of India, CDSCO, Drugs Controller General of India, that they must notify devices which are very crucial, and then they must regulate. And therefore in 2005 notification for regulating the devices which are like drug-eluting stents, bare metal stents, then heart walls, then orthopedic implants, then prosthetic replacements, and all these type of 10 devices were notified. Issue which I want to really bring in is that because most of us are from pharma background and drug regulators are still regulating this, therefore there is some demand from the medical device industry that engineers and medical devices experts should be regulating it. So a mix of medical devices, engineers, pharmacists, then experts in the biotechnology should be really implementing this. But if you see the history of pharma industry in India has developed like anything. Pharma market for domestic drugs is around 1 lakh crores, and export is around 1,20,000 crores. And then practically we are third in the global market by volume, and by value we are 13th. So India is now labeled as pharmacy of the world. Similar development in medical devices has not been seen because the medical devices India were largely unregulated till this 2017 regulation. Right. So anything which is unregulated doesn't have any acceptance in the global market. So to create the acceptance in the global market, you should be complying with the regulations. So regulation has to be in place. You have to comply with those regulations. And once you comply with those regulations, probably industry is developing a level that really they can comply with European regulations and they can comply with Japanese regulations, they can comply with uh, US regulations. So that particular power comes if you are at certain level. So level creating field has been created by 2017 uh, medical devices rules, and then practically we have brought in this to see that the industry develops. Now, just to appraise you that medical devices industry is really, as far as government of India paper goes, that it is around $220 billion industry globally. As far as India is concerned, it is only 3,420 crores odd rupees, and but this 85% of the medical devices as far as India is concerned are imported. Therefore, Government of India in the mission of making Make in India or self-sufficiency, had announced one scheme for medical devices, particularly in the month of March after this pandemic was declared, that Government of India will promote medical devices, and then even day before yesterday only, this has been notified that Government of India will be giving around mm, around 3,420 crores of incentives to the medical device industry, and Government of India will be creating 4 medical devices parks. And then for every medical devices park, the state government or state implementing agency will get 100 crores. So practically Government of India is now promoting medical devices industry. And now why they are promoting? Because really you are totally dependent on the imports, 85% import. While as far as our issues are concerned, there is a really lack of finance in this. Lack of infrastructure is there. R&D facilities are not there. Then skill development is not up to the sufficient level. So in that, Rajashri has taken up an issue that will develop the skill, and therefore this type of training programs are coming up. Right. So this is the background that government. We are really uh, pharmacy of the world. We want to become real exporter of the medical devices, and now we are at very nascent stage in the medical devices. We want to develop very fast, reduce import, increase export, and therefore there has to be some regulation. And if there is a regulation which takes you towards the international compliance levels, then it will be great. Therefore, this rule has been designed, medical devices rules 2017, and now I will go into the details. Though I'll run through fast because my next speakers, Abdul and Gayatri, will be really taking you in more details, but I'll just give you overview of medical devices rules. My screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Go to first slide. Or
yeah, you're on the 9th slide. So
Sorry. Right, so with this, I'm going into my presentation where really I'll share with you many things, and then let us see in question answers what is further requirement, right? So presentation overview will really have details like Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940, medical devices rules and its salient features, status of implementations of MDR. It is really has started implementation in details. New amendments and notifications which have come in February, with which every medical devices and in vitro diagnostics will be regulated and registered in India. And then we look into the challenges. Right? So definition 3B4 of drug Under Drug and Cosmetic Act, Section 3B is drug definition of drug, and Section 3B4 contains definition for medical devices. Any device intended for internal or external use in diagnosis, treatment, mitigation, or prevention of disease or disorder in human beings or animals, as may be notified by central government after consultation with the board. Board is a drug technical advisory board, uh, of which really I was member at that time. Right. So 3B4 definition says anything which is notified for internal or external use for diagnosis, treatment, mitigation, or prevention of disease or disorder. So it is very huge, inclusive, but only major rider is notified. So earlier notification was not there, now everything is notified, right? So as far as now medical devices definitions, further if you go into details, it says medical device means substance used for in vitro diagnosis and surgical dressing, surgical bandages, surgical staples, sutures, ligatures, blood component, bags, with or without coagulant are covered under this subclass. Substances including mechanical contraceptives, condoms, intrauterine and insecticide notified in the official gazette under that subclass. Devices notified from time to time. Now, as I said that earlier, some devices were covered as drugs. So they were part of definition of drug under Drug and Cosmetic Act. Medical devices rules are being effective from 2018, 1st January 2018, and this is promulgated to regulate clinical investigation. Now, clinical investigation about medical devices will be regulated. Clinical investigation, manufacture, import, sale, and distribution of medical devices in the country. So, any medical device which will be going through clinical investigation, are manufactured, or imported, or sold, or distributed in India will be regulated. And medical devices rules 2017 are harmonized with the international regulatory practices and really provide comprehensive legislation for regulation of medical device, which will foster Make in India also. As I said, that really it has taken care of all the regulations. We discussed all the regulations. What is Europe saying? What is Japan saying? And what is the rule in US? And then really it has been designed on the lines of ISO 13485 and CE marking lines. So we'll see that how it is really coming up. As we discussed, this is already discussed in earlier slides. So where these rules will be applicable. So the scope is there. These are the devices which are really earlier regulated, which I said in 1989, disposable syringes, needles, sets, and then in vitro diagnostics like HIV testing kits and HCV testing kits. Human immunodeficiency virus testing and HBsAg testing for jaundice, etc. were really brought in 2002. And then, as I discussed, cardiac stent, drug-eluting stents, they were notified in 2005. In 2016, ablation devices were notified. And then earlier on, in Drug and Cosmetic Act, these ligatures, intrauterine devices, condom, tubal rings, and these were being regulated. Now, new notification includes that nebulizers, blood pressure monitoring device, glucometers, digital thermometers, all implantable medical devices, CT scan, and MRI equipments will be regulated from January 1 to 2021 or April 1, 2021 as shown in the notification. Further is defibrillators, PET equipment, X-ray machine, dialysis machine, bone marrow cell separator, and ultrasound. All these will be regulated. Now, with this, I want to really bring into your knowledge that scope for regulation in India has expanded like anything, and now all of you will have really huge opportunities to work in this industry. Now, as far as this is concerned, further one development has come in February 2020, which says that all the devices, now these were the devices which are notified. Now these all devices will be covered under licensing. Now beyond licensing, now other devices were really not regulated and were not to be regulated, but as there is a demand that there should be some regulation in India, therefore, Government of India has notified all the devices which are used for treatment and diagnosis, mitigation for disease or disorder are notified as drugs, and they will be having one requirement of registration. So that we will see in the last slides. But as of now, this is a developed regulation, and for that there is 18-month window is there. So therefore, these are the devices which are in immediate regulation. So salient features, if we talk of medical devices rules, are there is a risk-based classification. Provision for notified body has come in for the first time for category A and B devices. Quality management system is in line with ISO 13485, which we will be discussing in further classes. And provisions related to essential principles of safety and performance have been notified by Government of India on their website, that what essential principles you have to comply with. Separate provisions for regulation of clinical investigation of investigational medical devices has been incorporated as rules, and provisions are made to designate or establish medical devices testing laboratories for conformance. Basically, day before yesterday also I was hearing some webinar on this medical devices and then testing of that. We are really suffering with this lack of testing of facilities in India. For most of the devices, testing facilities are not available because either they were not required or nobody has established that. So this is a huge challenge before the central government or before the manufacturers, how to develop testing facilities, standards, and how to make it available to the manufacturers. So it has been said that medical devices shall be notified by central government and classified by central licensing authority. To date, all other regulators say that you have to classify your device. But in India, Central Licensing Authority, that is Drugs Controller General of India, has to classify them and keep it on the website that they have classified devices in these particular rules. Risk-based classification is there. So low risk class is class A, low to moderate risk class is class B, moderate to higher risk is class C, and higher risk is class D. So it is similar practically to the European guidelines, or if you merge B and C, similar to the US guidelines. Now, medical devices rules 2017 have 12 chapters. I'll just name the chapters. We may not go in the details. That will require a very detailed understanding, but we'll discuss some salient features of all those chapters. Chapter 1 is titled with application, commencement, and definition, which we have already discussed. Chapter 2 is classification of medical devices, grouping of medical devices, and essential principles. Chapter 3 is authorities like Central Licensing Authority, medical device officers, medical device testing officers, and everybody like that. Delegation of powers, notified bodies, and medical devices testing centers. So they are notified how they will be working. Everything has been brought in there. How they will be approved, approval of notified body, and everything. Chapter 4 is manufacture of medical device, application, inspection, grant of license, condition of license, suspension, cancellation, appeal, if there is a investigational device test license and something like that. Chapter 5 relates to import of medical devices. If it is coming from some other country, then if required, that organization or manufacturing facility in that country will be inspected by DCGI. Grant of license, test license, and if it is for hospital use or personal use, how it can be imported. Chapter 6 is labeling requirements. Chapter 7 deals with clinical investigation, permissions, medical management, compensation in case of adverse events, and inspection of that room. Chapter 8 is permission to import or manufacture medical devices which does not have predicate medical device. So if you are really importing a device for the first time or want to manufacture the device for the first time which does not exist or which does not have predicate device, what rules will be applicable? Then chapter 9 says duties and powers of medical device officers, how they will be operating, how they will be inspecting, how they will be drawing samples, if they are inspecting, what powers they will have, how they will seize or send samples to the testing laboratory, what will be the medical devices, what will be the requirements of medical device testing officers, and notified body. Now, these all requirements really shows some appointment opportunities also, that engineering graduates and pharma graduates can be appointed as medical device officers or testing officers. Regulations of laboratories, uh, which will be carrying out the test for evaluation of the medical devices. They may be enable accredited, what will be requirements of them, and then sale of medical devices. What license will be required for sale? As of now, they have said it, drug selling license will be sufficient, and similar things will be there. Then is chapter 12, rejection of application, debarment of application. Applicant, if you are not submitting the proper records, or if there is fraudulent submissions or some bad submissions, then there will be some um, rejection. And then exemption, some activities will be exempted from this. So exemptions are notified in chapter 12. Right. There are 8 schedules. Schedule 1 deals with the classification of medical devices and in vitro diagnostic devices. So the way we said that there are rules for classification. Then first schedule really says how they will be classified. Second schedule says fees, what fees will be applicable to every activity. Then third schedule says registration of and functions of notified body. What are the requirements for notified bodies, where they will be registered? They have to be approved by NABCB, and then after NABCB approval, they have to get registered with the Drugs Controller General of India. Fourth schedule says documents required for grant of manufacturing and import license. So all the documents, what are your submissions you will be required to do for license to manufacture, and then how you will be developing your quality management system. Fifth schedule says that quality management system, how you will be developing that, and then in details that is shown. Sixth schedule, post-approval changes, minor and major changes are to be notified, and then they are to be allowed, or then permissions will be required. And requirement to conduct clinical trials, clinical investigation is in 7th schedule. It is not clinical trial, actually it is clinical investigation in this case. And 8th schedule shows exemption. As I said, that there are rules for exemption, and same what is exempted is shown in 8th schedule. Now, new definitions have come in these rules are medical device definition, substantial equivalence. What will be substantial equivalence with predicate device? What will be predicate device? Investigational medical device. Which device will be treated as investigational medical device? Which doesn't have a predicate device? New in vitro diagnostic device, clinical investigation, manufacture, notified body, clinical performance evaluation. All these terms are defined in the rules. Scope for notified bodies. Now, notified bodies will be there. Notified bodies will be inspecting and helping the licensing authority for granting the license for Class A and Class B medical devices. They will be verifying quality management system conformance at manufacturing site where necessary by inspection. They will be verifying essential requirements. They will be verifying validation of manufacturing processes through objective evidence. They will be checking conformity of material with defined specifications, and responsibility to ensure conformance to QMS and conditions of license and registration. This is for Class A and Class B medical device only. And Class A and Class B medical device, how they can be manufactured. So if you want to manufacture a Class A or Class B device, you have to apply through a identified online portal, and this portal will be discussed by Ms. Sneha Pandit in maybe tomorrow. And then on that portal, you have to upload all the documents as per 4th schedule and pay fees as specified in the 2nd schedule. There will be no audit for Class A medical devices prior to grant of license. However, there may be an audit carried out within 120 days of from the date of issue of the license. So if you apply for a Class A device, a license will be directly issued to you. If you apply for Class B device, notified body will come and audit your place within 90 days from the date of application. And that notified body will furnish a report to state licensing authority, which in our case, in the case is state licensing authority is a state regulator. Drug control departments have been given that authority. So as far as if you take example of Maharashtra, every joint commissioner at a divisional places has been notified as licensing authority, state licensing authority. So notified body will send report to the state licensing authority, and the state licensing authority will grant the license. Right. And for Class C and Class D, licensing authority is Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, that is Drugs Controller General of India. You have to make application similarly on that online portal. Central Licensing Authority may use services of expert of a notified body and may carry out inspection within period of 60 days from the date of application. Now, from here you can understand that medical device officer and an expert from notified body or a subject matter expert or a device expert may come to your place for inspection. No inspection of a medical device manufacturing site for grant of license to be carried out if site is already licensed to manufacture sub devices. So if you already have license, so for additional device license manufacturing, inspection will not be carried out. And after completion of inspection, team will forward the report to Central Licensing Authority and then they will grant license. The medical device, this is very, very important. Please understand this very nicely. A medical device, what are the standards for medical device in India? This is relating to that. A medical device must conform to the standards laid down by BIS. In India, if BIS has laid down a standard for a particular device, then your device has to conform to those standards, or any standard which has been notified by Government of India from time to time. And if Government of India or BIS has not notified any standard, then you can use ISO standards or IC standard, whichever is applicable, or any other pharmacopoeia standard. If all above are not available, then device shall conform to the validated standards given by the manufacturer. So first one is BIS, another one is any standard notified by central government. If both of them are not there, then ISO standard or IC standard or pharmacopoeia standard. If there is no BIS, central government, ISO, IC or pharmacopoeia standard, then manufacturer's validated standard has to be complied with. Right. So this is a very, in a nutshell, how it will be regulated. Device, one column shows the devices and its activities, and then which classes. Import, all import class A, B, C, D, CLA, Central Licensing Authority will be regulating. Manufacturing, class A and B, state licensing authorities with the help of notified body. And class C and D by Central Licensing Authority, that is CDSCO, that is Drugs Controller General of India. Permission to conduct clinical investigation for all classes A, B, C and D from Central Licensing Authority, that is Drugs Controller General of India. Sale for all classes A, B, C, D, State Licensing Authority, license similar to the medical store license or wholesale license will be applicable. Quality management system verification for class A by notified body, for class B by notified body, for class C and class D by Central Licensing Authority, that is Drugs Controller General of India. I hope I am clear. So
yes, sir, and just move fast.
Okay.
Because we are behind time. So
new medical device online portal is in place. Classification is in place, which will be discussed in future in further classes. So status of implementation, it has started implementation. Very fast we'll go to the 2020 notification. 11th February notification has notified all the devices, as I said now, all the devices including instrument, apparatus, appliance, implant, material or other article, whether used alone or in combination, including a software or animal, does not achieve the primary intended use by manufacturer to use especially for human being or animals, which does not achieve the primary intended action in human body or animal by pharmacological or immunological means. So anything other than pharmacology or immunology, if anything is used for treatment, mitigation and everything, if it is instrument, apparatus or appliance, implant, anything is a medical device, right? So further it says the diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, treatment, or elevation of disease or disorder. So all these will be treated as medical devices. You can just go through that, or further it can be discussed in for next classes. Right. So this will be effective from 1st April 2020. So this is effective from 1st April 2020. Now you have to register all the above devices. Now you have to understand all devices which were notified earlier, they are under licensing, and all the devices which are not notified earlier, and because of this 2020 definition, they are coming up in the chapter 3A, which is newly incorporated in medical devices rules, where you have to register the medical devices online by mentioning the generic name, model number, intended use, class of medical device, material of construction and dimensions, shelf life, sterile or non-sterile, brand name, ISO 13485 certificate if you have, undertaking, free sale certificate from country of origin in case of imports, exemption. Now this brings us to very important point that you have to register all the devices as per notification dated 11 February 2020. It gives you window period of 18 months for registration. For 18 months it's voluntary. This shows very, very important point that you have to upload your ISO 13485 certificate. Now means all the manufacturers of all the medical devices, though not earlier notified, but due to 2020 notification, they are coming up in the regulation. They are to be registered with Government of India. They have to have ISO 13485 certificate for quality management system. So understand the importance of ISO 13485. Understand the requirement of the trained persons who understand 13485 quality management system building. They will be required, and there are huge employment opportunities in that, and there are huge consultancy opportunities in that. So please inform your colleagues and everybody that there is huge opportunity coming up in India in medical device industry. So everybody should upgrade their knowledge or get updated with this. Right. So quality management system is prescribed in 5th schedule, which is harmonized with 13485. It includes documentation requirements, quality manual, control of documents, management responsibility, customer focus, and everything of 13485. It is really harmonized with that. Device master file, this will be discussed with you in other sessions, so I'm not going into details, but rules really prescribe 4th schedule part 3 appendix 2 prescribes what the device master file as per Indian medical device rules should have. So these are the requirements of that. Plant master file is also prescribed, so you'll have to really prepare plant master file and upload, keep it ready for the inspections. Risk management plan, that will also be discussed today in next session. So conclusion is medical devices rules 2017 are way to regulate medical devices in India. Manufacture for sale is being regulated, which will create environment for international acceptance of devices of made in India. Import of medical devices will be regulated so that internationally regulated devices registered in India will be available to the stakeholders. So medical devices industry has got a bright future in India. Wish you all the best to be part of this medical device industry, and let us see that we all should work in the line of, as we have made India pharmacy of the world, we will make India medical device manufacturing hub of the world and provide best possible medical devices at very reasonable prices to the world community. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. There is one question from Arun, that what about the devices already having manufacturing license?
Their license are being converted when their license will expire. Before that, they have to get converted into medical device rules. Licensing conditions are there. They have to apply on the portal and get their license converted.
Okay. Thank you. Arun? Any other question? All participants?
Okay, just a quick response from you. Was my
Hello,
presentation
Mr.
clear?
Sadhwani.
Yes.
Mr. Sadhwani, this, as you told, for already registered or already having manufacturing license, do we need to register again or only revise the license?
No. See that there are two issues. A product, if the product was earlier notified, it is under licensing condition, right?
Okay.
Okay. All the products which are under licenses, their licenses are to be converted to MDR.
Okay.
So all the products which are earlier notified or were notified to date, critical categories which Government of India wants to put in the licensing regulations, they are already notified as a licensing regulation products. All other products which were not notified as their categories, which were not regulated in India at all, they are available for registration now. Now every device, if is notified as a medical device category for licensing, that chapter is separate, chapter 3 for licensing. Chapter 3A new has been included. The devices which were not earlier regulated, they are brought in for registration. Now, after some period, these devices which will be registered now, they will be graduating to the licensing. So as of now, there are very number of categories of medical devices which are not regulated are now will be registered within 18 months. And other categories which were already notified, they are really being regulated as licensed categories. They will be continued to be regulated as licensed. If you are coming up as a new manufacturer of those devices, suppose you talk of X-ray machine. X-ray machine has implementation date of something. Maybe I don't remember date, maybe 20 or 21. So by 2021, you have to go for licensing of X-ray machine. But the categories which are not notified, they are, if you talk of suppose pulse oximeter, it was not notified. So pulse oximeter will be registered.
Yes, that I understood. But only thing what my doubt is, for example, the devices which are already having manufacturing license, no need to register. So whenever we have to
No
go
need to
for
register. You are already on licensing this. So registration, you are very right. Question is registration. Chapter of registration is exempting all these devices which are in the license.
So when we have to means this license will be expired, so we have to renew the license. At that time, what we need to do?
No, your license which is perpetually valid in Form 2528, which license you were holding earlier. Now this license is to be really converted into medical device license, MD5 or MD7, whatever will be applicable. So for all the manufacturers who were manufacturing notified devices before implementation of MDR 2017, have to convert their licenses into MD05 MDR rules licenses. So you have to apply for that.
We have to apply online.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is February 2020 is for really something which was not which was not licensed in India at all, which was not regulated in India at all.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
What we will do, we will take all remaining question after the session. Okay, is that fine? You can, you may have, many more question after Ram Banarasi's session, because he is going to take only 10 minutes to describe what is, the key changes from MDD to MDR. Okay, just have patience.
One request from my side.
Yes.
Was my presentation and explanation clear, or you need some more clarification on that? If you can chat, that will be better.
Yeah, Arun.
Okay, you can go ahead, Banarasi sir.
Sir, we have to answer a couple of more questions. Sadhwani sir, let Banarasi sir finish, and tomorrow also there is one India session, so we have enough time in our hand. Let the question come, because by asking one person question, there are chances to get more question, relevant to that earlier question. So that is why I'm giving some time to give a thought about these Indian regulations and why this MDR-17 rule has changed. What is the importance of that change, and what are the important activities? Like the straightforward question was manufacturing license. Then there are a couple of question, very simple question. What is the difference between loan license and the manufacturing license? So like that, there could be more and more questions coming from other participants. So just write your question in the chat box, and we will answer all your queries. Trust me. Yeah. Sir, Banarasi sir, please share your screen. Hello. Sir, you have to unmute first. Yes.
You are sharing the screen.
Yeah, please share.
It's okay now?
Yes.
Can you
Make
see
it,
the screen?
yes, sir. Make it as a full view.
Okay, I'll stop my video. No?
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Can I?
Sir, full screen kara. Go down right hand side. Perfect.
I'm not seeing it. Is okay now? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be taking key changes from MDD to MDR. I'll just touch upon the changes what are from MDD to MDR. Detail will be taken by Abdul. Let us see.
Go down, sir.
It's not coming in.
Select the screen. Now you go down. Just enter your screen.
Not going down. That's all. This one.
Click the screen, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Let us see. How are the medical devices regulated in the European Union? The medical devices within the European Union are basically currently regulated by 3 directives. One, Council directives on active implantable medical devices, that is AI-MDD of 1990. Council directive on medical devices, popularly known as MDD of 1993, and Council directives on in vitro diagnostic medical devices of 1998. The European Union has established a medical device regulation and IVDR as a replacement to the medical device directives and in vitro diagnostic device directive. These both were on place around 25 years. Then what was the need to go for MDR when the MDD was in place in Europe? The main reason was the European medical device regulation ensures a high standard of quality and safety for medical devices being produced in Europe or supplied into Europe. The European Union medical device regulation applied to all manufacturers selling medical devices within the Europe. the medical device will require further inspections of a technical documentation. There's a very rigorous requirement on clinical evaluation and will also increase the traceability of devices to the supply chain. That was the most important. Every distributor should have a traceability of the medical device, and that's the reason UDI is introduced into the MDR. As a result, EU legislation framework will become a more robust, allowing for a greater protection of public health and safety. Look at the MDR is significantly more comprehensive and detailed as compared to MDD. Medical device directives comprise of only 23 articles and 12 annexes over 60 pages, whereas the MDR has 123 articles and 17 annexes over 175 pages. This is around 3 times more elaborative than the MDD. The MDR basically provides an exhaustive guideline to the researcher, manufacturer, distributor, and hospitals. And Europe new medical device will bring significant regulatory changes that may impact a multiple business unit within your organization. Let us see the timeline of the MDR. May 2017, MDR entry into the force. May 2021, MDR date of application, that is updated compliance date for medical devices. Then May 2022 is a EC certificate of conformity issued before May 27, 2022 expire. In May 24, required for all EC certificate issued 5 years from the issue or renewal date or 4 years from the MDR date of application, that is May 2021. And May 25, devices certified under the MDD can no longer be sold or distributed in Europe. That means by May 2025, MDD will get over and all the certificates will be issued under the MDR. What are the major differences between the MDD and MDR? The mainly improvement made by the MDR over the MDD. Basically, a new risk classification system for in vitro diagnostic medical devices in line with international guidance. Then in MDR, it increased the transparency and traceability using comprehensive EU database on medical devices, intensified most post-market surveillance requirement for the manufacturer, and improved coordination of vigilance and market surveillance between the EU countries. These are the major differences over the MDD. Then there is a changes, there is a more changes put in the MDR. For example, surgically invasive device like a urinary catheter, clamp, infusion, cannula, these are the surgically invasive devices. Here the addition made is including through the mucous membrane of the body orifice, because surgically invasive device is an invasive device which penetrates inside the body through surface of body. But now under MDR, it is included, including through mucous membrane of the body orifice. Similarly, the definition of injured skin or mucous membrane have been introduced. In case of active devices, which is covered under the Article 2 of active devices, which is active devices means the examination light or surgical microscope or diagnostic devices for thermography. Here, these are the devices, the operation of which depend on the source of energy other than the generated by the human body. But what is addition here? Which act by changing the density. Even this is also included in the definition. Now the major differences put into the reusable surgical instrument. Reusable devices are nothing but the devices that healthcare provider can reprocess or reuse on the multiple patients. And they are the laparoscopic surgery accessories or scissors or surgical instrument like clamp, forceps, scissors, etc. Here the addition is which is intended by the manufacturer to be reused after appropriate procedure such as cleaning, disinfection, sterilization have been carried out. Means this is addition. Then there is addition in the definition of continuous use and direct diagnosis. Then there is an addition in the definition of implantable devices. Implantable devices generally include a pacemaker, coronary stent, hip implants, intraocular lenses, implantable insulin pump. And here the addition is those, including those that are partially or wholly absorbed. This is the addition. And secondly, by intervention, it has been replaced by clinical intervention. These are the major changes in the MDR. Then the word state of art. What does the state of art actually mean in EU MDR? The 12 number of times the term state of art appear in the MDR and 20 times the number of terms state of art appears in the IVDR, whereas there is no definition of state of art under the MDR. The state of art as described, generally we understand the word state of art means the latest and most sophisticated or advanced stage of technology. For example, people generally consider if it is the solar powered pacemaker may be a state of art product. But actually this MDR doesn't expect that. The EU regulation also do not state the state of art. But whereas the ISO 14971 a little bit describe the word state of art, and that is International Standard for Medical Devices Management describe the state of art as best practices as used in other device of the same or similar time. But what does the practices mean? If a medical device is not a most technologically sophisticated product on the market, but it has a sparkling safety record, possesses solid clinical data, and follow all the latest standards, does that mean it still meet the best practices and qualify the state of art in the eye of the EU regulator? Maybe, cannot say. But somewhat this is the confusion arises because in a medical device, the state of art refers only to products that are developed and approved for sale on marketplace. For example, the new state-of-art digital imaging machine is there and that is undergoing a trial. And secondly, already CE marking digital imaging system is already developed. Then which is one is the state-of-art? One who is having a CE marking is the state-of-art product. Whereas the former one is not a state-of-art till it get a CE marking. Then more or less There are 13 key changes to MDD to MDR. The MDR is 4 times longer and contains 5 more annexes than MDD. The word safety appears 290 times in MDR, whereas it is hardly for 40 times. The significant changes in wording used in new law will require companies to rationalize their portfolio and perform a global impact assessment in order to implement the necessary changes to remain compliant. Then Annexure 1 is for GSPR, identify a new condition that will need to be addressed for most legacy devices. Existing product must be recertified in accordance with the new regulation. Then MDR will require most companies to update their clinical data. The clinical data, more emphasis has been given on updation of clinical data, technical documentation, and labeling. Secondly, important change is UDI. It will be implemented to help track device throughout the economic operator supply chain and will be required on the label also. The scope of the MDD did not encompass the medical purpose device and AIMD. Both are included under the MDR. And most important is that the definition of medical device is broadened and it includes non-medical and cosmetic devices which were not previously regulated. For example, it includes a product for cleaning, disinfection or sterilization of devices, as well as contact lenses, liposuction equipment, and epilation laser. Means a product used for cleaning and disinfection or sterilization of the medical devices, now a medical devices. Then manufacturer will need to generate and provide in-depth clinical data to prove the safety and performance claim. The manufacturer, this is also important that manufacturer will need to report the incidents, injuries, and death into the EU portal. And reporting of incidents did not result into death or very serious deterioration. The time has been reduced to 15 days from 30 days. In MDD, it was a 30 days you have to report. Now it will be a 15 days. And companies undergoing transition will need to revisit core processes including QA, risk management, post-market expectation. This will require a careful review, planning, and updating to re-implement with a new requirement. And last is the key changes are the reclassification of many medical devices to higher risk class and new classification of reusable surgical devices requiring a notified body oversight. The classification rules, MDR Annexure 8, Rule 1 to 4 is for non-invasive devices, Rule 5 to 8 for invasive devices, Rule 9 to 13 is for active devices, and Rule 14 to 22 is for special rule. Let us see the scope of MDR. MDR scope cover medical devices only for human use and accessories for such devices. Any devices used for animal is not a medical device. Then group of products without an intended medical purpose that are listed in Annexure 16. And devices intended to administer a medicinal product. These come under the scope of the MDR. Whereas this regulation does not apply to IVD, that is in vitro diagnostic product, drugs, that is medicinal product derived from blood and blood plasma, which is blood related drug product that come under the drug, then cosmetic products, transplant, viable biological material, and food. Because all these products are having a separate legislation or regulation. That's why it is not coming under the scope of MDR. Then is my product a device according to MDR? Product used for cleaning, disinfecting or sterilizing other medical device. Yes, it has come under the definition of MDR now. Whereas product that utilize a viable biological component, it doesn't cover under the MDR. It is not a medical device. Device for the purpose of control or support of conception like a condom, intrauterine device is a medical device. And IVDs, medical product, cosmetic food product, they are not a medical device because they are separately regulated by their own regulation. Software used for any purpose covered by the MDR are the medical device, whereas software used for general administration is not a medical device. Thank you very much.